Hey guys, I'm excited to be back doing a little bit of Lady Macbeth with you today. I'm going to have a look at the monologue starting "The Raven himself is hoarse." This is a very popular monologue. I think it's quite an achievable monologue, not too tricky. There's some interesting things happening with language because it's very, it's quite descriptive, quite imagery driven. And what I'm going to do in this video is that I'm going to break down what she's talking about. So I'm going to give you the meanings, a little bit of context, but I'm going to talk quite a bit about her character because there's a lot that you can do in terms of your interpretation of Lady Macbeth, but it's good to have a fair bit of information to draw from. And just watching one version or a couple of versions of it is not really going to give you that. You definitely need to, ideally you want to be reading through the whole play, maybe watching a few different versions, but I'm hoping that I can give you a little bit of insight into some choices that you can make. So I'll jump into that in a second, but I also wanted to let you know at the end, I'll read through the whole thing at once. So if you're just kind of wanting to get a sense of how it all fits together, maybe how I'm pronouncing things or the flow of it, that will be at the end, and I'll drop a timestamp down below so you can just jump to that if you like. And before I jump in, if you find this video useful, please do like or subscribe or share it with someone because it helps me get out to more people, and that makes me really happy that we're all digging into Shakespeare together because it's so rewarding. Right, so the Raven himself is hoarse. Let's think about what's happening here. So she's talking about the servant that has just come in with the news that the servant is hoarse. Now I'm so sorry, I can't remember why he's hoarse, but she's referring, the servant's just come in as like, Duncan's coming, Duncan being the king. And she's like, oh, that's interesting. And she's starting to think in this kind of, she immediately starts talking about the raven. That's very dark imagery. Even now we associate the same kind of things like dark omens and all those kinds of things. And she refers to the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. So she's saying like the raven bringing this news, croaking, being kind of signifying the like croaking to death kind of thing, or like somebody on their last legs, for example. Fatal entrance of Duncan being fatal, that this is going to be his last place that he's going to enter, because she's planning that they kill him. And it's interesting that she says under my battlements. That's not accidental. Battlements in this case, she's referring to her house as like a kind of like a war zone. And what's interesting about these things is that digging into Lady Macbeth, there are a couple of things that you should be thinking about. Lady Macbeth is not a villain. When I was younger and I first did Lady Macbeth, well, I did Macbeth like in school, for example, in high school, and I just kind of thought she was this like the sort of villain of the piece that was like, come on, not Duncan, come on, Macbeth, you can kill him. Let me whisper in your ear, go, Macbeth, kill the guy. But it's not really like that. The picture that I want to paint for you is this couple so Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are the kind of golden couple. Macbeth's won all these awards, not awards, like medals and stuff for war awards. He's been very well recognized for being a great soldier. Everybody loves him. And they've never really been, like problematic. They support the king. And suddenly this thing happens that drops this idea in her mind. So ambition is a thing that's talked about a lot with her. But I personally think this is quite new for her. She might have been ambitious for her husband, but he has achieved so much. And suddenly now she's getting even more ambitious. And in this monologue, she's like starting to call on the dark parts of herself and the dark parts of the universe, or, the cosmos or whatever, to support her in this dark quest. And so she's referring to ravens and stuff and all these dark things. But it's interesting because she's not just a bad guy. She has always been this wonderful, smart lady at her husband's side, and she thinks that this whole thing is going to be kind of easy. She's like, well, Macbeth's a soldier, he knows how to kill people, it'll be fine, and it'll be great, and we can do this, it's so achievable. Killing people is normal. But it doesn't work out like that at all. Macbeth, I'm giving you information that you may know because of the play, but it's interesting to think of in this big picture. Macbeth thinks that he can do it as well. they just think we can assassinate someone, but it's so different to the war that they know. So the fact that she's talking about battlements here, she's thinking this is just gonna be like a war, it's fine. But it doesn't work out like that. She's not prepared for it because it's not war. It's cold-blooded murder, it's assassination, and they both get affected by it so badly. So this is kind of a foreshadowing monologue because it's kind of like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing, and we're all like, this isn't gonna work out very well. Not that you necessarily want to play that, but it's good to know in your mind that this is someone that's stepping into darkness. In this monologue, it's really her going, I am going dark. This is it, guys. That's a big moment for her. That's what I want you to know. This is big for her. It's not just a like, well, I do this kind of stuff all the time. No. And for the audience too, in that day and age, when she starts to summon spirits and stuff, that would have been scary for them. Would have been like watching a thriller because they're like, oh, God is not gonna like this. We should not be doing this on stage, So it's actually a big monologue, and for her, thrilling and scary to step into this darkness. Okay, so I want you to have that mindset happening. And she's like, well, there's a raven, and one thing that you should know, so she's starting off, the raven himself is hoarse that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. She's like, it's a sign. It's a sign. I'm totally supposed to do this because there's a raven and the raven's croaking and What I want you to think about as well very quickly is a bit of Shakespearean technique. Her first line is a half line. That means that it follows very quickly on the heels of whatever came before. You can tell this kind of just by the shape of how big it is. If it's shorter than like the rest of the lines, in pentameter, that means it's kind of like, the 2 or 3 beats that matches someone else's 2 or 3 beats to make the 5. Hopefully that makes sense. And what it means is that should always follow fast. If you've got like the second half line there that follows someone else's, it should follow fast. And that gives you information about how to deliver this. You should be delivering it with a bit of punch to start off with. I think that she's thrilled. Like, oh, yeah, it's a sign, is what she's saying. And she's going to be jumping straight into it. The person that speaks before, I believe, is there's just the servant, and then this is a soliloquy. So she's speaking to a servant and then quickly probably talking to the audience. I would say in this example, it's very common in soliloquies for people to talk to the audience. You can choose if you're imagining that she's just talking to herself out loud, but I think this is a very storytellery kind of monologue, so it would be very interesting for her to speak to the audience, blah 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 blah. This is happening, guys. I hope you're excited. So she immediately is like jumping straight into, I'm going to basically kind of not quite casting a spell because she doesn't know how, but she's saying, come you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts. She's actually summoning in the spirits. It's not just a kind of like cash thing that she's saying. She's so excited that she starts it in the middle of the line, come you spirits. So there should be no pause there. She's gone straight away. The raven himself is hoarse that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. Straight into come you spirits. Now, as always, think about eye line. Where are you calling the spirits from? Is it forward? Is it up? It could be down. If you're self-taping, just keep in mind that might be boring to watch, you calling spirits from below. Could certainly be down below though, because they are probably dark spirits. So come you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here and fill me from the crown to the toe, top full of direst cruelty. She means it. So if you're not sure what she's saying there, I think it's reasonably self-explanatory. So she's saying, like, actually spirits come. So the spirits that are around me, and again, this would have been a scary thing for the audience to watch and probably a little bit scary for her too. Come you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts. So the spirits that are floating around that listen to human thinking, unsex me here. What she's talking about there is to remove all the things that are associated with women. And in that day, it was basically referred to as like frailty, and even though Shakespeare's women are very strong, it was just a bit of a stereotype that women were really, weak and scared and all that kind of thing. So she's like, remove all that, she doesn't say make me like a man. She says unsex me. So either ungendered or whatever, but not held back by things that are usually associated with women. Make me strong and fill me from the crown to the toe, top full of direst cruelty. So that whatever that is, whether it's male or whatever, remove my gendered weakness and make me full of cruelty. She means this, again, just a reminder that this is not blah, blah, blah language. This is like she's actually saying, come here right now and make me strong and cruel. That's a big thing to ask. If it were you, that would be a strange feeling, right? Make thick my blood, stop up the access and passage to remorse, that no compunctious visitings of nature shake my fell purpose, nor keep peace between the effect and it. Now, this is interesting stuff. This is all basically on the same theme. Make thick my blood, stop up the access and passage to remorse. I kind of put that together. So basically, her blood, stop up the access and passage to remorse, like wherever remorse is situated in the body, make my blood thick and slow it down so I'm not feeling remorse get through to that part of me, whether it's your brain or heart or whatever. She's saying, slow that down. So again, all of these things are like, make me inhuman, make me cruel, make me less like a woman. These are big asks, and they're exciting and scary, and I think it's interesting to think about whether she has any doubts in herself. You know, why does she need to do this? Why does she think she needs to remove all that stuff? That no compunctious visitings of nature shake my fell purpose. So compunctious visitings of nature, so basically that means like no kind of just moments of humanity is what she's talking about. So no compunctious visitings of nature shake my fell purpose. Don't let any little bits of humanity come into me that's going to stop me sticking to my goal. That shake my fell purpose, sticking to my goal. Nor keep peace between the effect and it. So again, just keep peace between the effect and it being like stopping me. So that whole kind of thing, that putting that all together is all take away my femaleness, make me strong, make me cruel, take away my humanity. So there's none of me, the part of me that feels remorse, the part of, the part of my brain or the part of the world that would stop me doing what I need to do. Please take that part of me away. She's asking to remove her humanity. So interesting stuff. Beg your pardon. Come to my woman's breasts and take my milk for gall, you murdering ministers, and wherever in your sightless substances you wait on nature's mischief. So again, this is all on a theme, which in itself can be a bit of a challenge, making sure that it's not all on one note. Just because it all kind of ties into a theme together doesn't mean that you should be kind of delivering it all the same way. Come do this, blah, 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 blah. There needs to be variety. Okay, so come to my woman's breast and take my milk for gall. So again, this is just about removing the femaleness. You murdering ministers, and wherever in your sightless substances you wait on nature's mischief. So again, she's calling on murdering ministers. Interesting. Before she said spirits that tend on mortal thoughts. So like she's referring at first, you could decide that she's actually referring to the same two sets of spirits, or you could say, okay, spirits that are listening to human thoughts, I'm talking to first. And then in the second time when she starts talking about removing milk and give a gall instead, gall being like the strength and courage and boldness, she says, you murdering ministers. She's talking to the murderous spirits. So that could be in your mind a different set of spirits, or it could be the same. These are choices that you should be clear about in your head, because otherwise it's going to be blah. You murdering ministers, wherever in your sightless substances you wait on nature's mischief. Now this is just notice how much alliteration's happening there. That gives you a clue as how to speak it. It's very crisp on the tongue. When there's articulation, it usually means that she's thinking, like for any character, articulation is about intellect. She's thinking about sightless substances kind of means like, it's the otherworldliness. So wherever they live, where they can't see and we can't see, they live. So spirits living in sightless substances, they're waiting on nature's mischief, like the things that are going to go out wrong in the world. They're those like little spirits that are waiting for someone to be a bit dodge. Come, thick night, and pall thee in the dunnest smoke of hell, that my keen knife see not the wound it makes, nor heaven peep through the blanket of the dark to cry, hold, hold. So again, the same, all of this again. So she's calling on the night. Pall thee in the dunnest, sorry, my brain is thinking. Come, thick night, and pall thee in the dunnest smoke of hell, that my keen knife see not the wound it makes, nor heaven peep through the blanket of the dark to cry, hold, hold. She's calling on the dark so she doesn't have to witness the horror in a way. So again, it's just removing herself from the humanity and the reality and trying to make herself something otherworldly and demonish. Interesting stuff, right? So let's read through it all together now, just to finish off and see if we get the flow. I personally find it hard to find the variety in this. So let's try and play together. You can read it through with me if you like, trying to play with some highs and lows. Let's start with a bit of attack, right? The raven himself is hoarse that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. Come, you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here and fill me from the crown to the toe, top full of direst cruelty. Make thick my blood, stop up the access and passage to remorse, that no compunctious visitings of nature shake my fell purpose, nor keep peace between the effect and it. Come to my woman's breasts and take my milk for gall, you murdering minsters, wherever in your sightless substances you wait on nature's mischief. Come, thick night, and pour thee in the dunnest smoke of hell, that my keen knife see not the wound it makes, nor heaven peep through the blanket of the dark to cry, hold, hold. So that last bit, which I didn't really explain, was heaven just basically don't let God see what I'm doing either. To say hold means stop. Or wait. So even then in my performance of it, I feel like it's some of the things that are hard to keep control is that it actually has a lot of energy, it has a lot of flow, and you're gonna have to be really careful that you're not rushing. I was probably rushing more than I would in performance. You should not breathe in the middle of a line generally. I did a couple of times because there's only so much you can do, but certainly don't put big pauses in the middle of lines. If she's starting a sentence in the middle of a line, it means she's got energy to keep on going. So keep on going, and you're going to have to find variety in different ways. You might have noticed that I stretched out some vowels more than others, really making something of the alliteration, enjoying the alliteration. When you have things like sightless substances, there's a joy in that repetition and the creativity that she's experiencing in imagery in your mind. I think she's delighting in this moment in a way. There's a thrill of stepping into the dark for someone that has maybe been the good girl and everything, the presentable, great sort of trophy wife thing for a long time. Not trophy wife because she's smart, but like she's been what everyone's wanted for this whole time, and now she's gone to the dark side, and there's a little bit of a thrill in it. Yeah. Let me know if you have any questions or thoughts on that one, because it's so interesting, and Lady Macbeth is one of those characters that you can just pull apart forever, and there's so many different ways to perform it. So you do not need to perform it the way that I did, just in case. I'm not even really performing it. You can find your own way, but I hope the information helps you make your decisions as an actor. Let me know if there are any monologues that you would like me to look at next. I'm very excited to bring quite a few monologues that are on the audition monologues for different drama schools this year. So let me know if you're auditioning for anything, and I will try and help you out with those. And that's it for now. I'll see you guys next time.